All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, the 9th of July. Let's do a couple quick sound checks here and then shall dive in and get going through here. Got a few decent things to cover. All right. Good morning, Mr. Mirza. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Bob. All right, guys. So, bigger picture, if we take a look here at the rankings on the spreadsheet, if you follow along, nothing's really changed. Indexes are bullish. You got the QQQ 78% of max strength. Got the S&Ps looking good, the IWM. For the sectors, you have the semiconductors, XLK, the ARK ETF, the industrials, Bitcoin, transports, silver, XLB, Big 10, energy, financials, communications, XLY. They all look pretty good. And then I think a few things you got to like here in the Big 10. One, of course, would be NVIDIA. You've got the Microsoft, Meta, Broadcom, TSM, and Amazon. And then if we take a quick gander at the master list, a lot of things looking really, really bullish. NVIDIA, FAST, LRCX, the TXN. You got Boeing, Crowd, FTNT. We bought a little bit of that FTNT yesterday. You've got Honeywell, Palo Alto. We're also long Palo Alto. Snowflake, Arc, Marriott, AMAT, Microsoft, Micron, Palantir, Caterpillar. So point being, bigger picture, everything's still super bullish. I think the issue here in the short term. All right, let's go to cash QQQ. All right, so these are our labels for the multi-time frame buy and sell signals. All right, and then for the QQQ here, green's of course a buy trigger. So right now you have a weekly, a daily, and a 4-hour buy. Blue's neutral, and red of course would be a sell signal. So if we take more of a 1 hour down to a 5-minute point of view, again, knowing the context is your weekly charts, your monthly charts, your daily charts, they're really bullish. QQQ from a 1 hour down to a 5, you're neutral. And neutral can be a little bit bearish, it can be a little bit bullish. To me, it's not good enough for an immediate directional trade. Can't really think about jumping and buying the call, can't think about doing the call credit spreads. So the Qs are neutral from a 2 hour down to a 5. All right, what about the spiders? The itsy bitsy spiders, neutral from a 2 to a 15, bearish on the 5. And again, I love the weekly chart. I love the daily chart. I want to buy those bigger time frames at an 8 EMA or a 21 EMA. It's just I can't do that until my 15-minute, my 30-minute say it might be a good idea. And that's not neutral. All right, what about maybe the almighty Russell? Everybody's favorite, the Russell. And she's neutral from a 1 to a 5. Quick look here at the Dow. The Dow, you're neutral from a 2 to a 15, bearish on the 5. All right, so as far as our indexes go, bullish on a monthly time frame, bullish on the weekly, bullish on a daily and a 4-hour. And it's not as if things have gotten bearish from the ground up, but they're neutral. All right, what about a few of these big boy leading names? How's Apple looking? Apple, you're neutral from a monthly down to a 5. Nobody home. Amazon, couple sell signals there on your 15 and your 5. Broadcom, neutral from a 4 to a 15, bearish on your 5. Google's neutral. Meta is neutral. Microsoft is neutral. The one they call Netflix is neutral. But all right, now we got a little something. Here's NVIDIA. You have that dynamic of good-looking weekly time frame, daily time frame, 4-hour chart. But then unlike the S&Ps, QQQ, the other Big 10 names, 15-minute chart got the active buy on the 5-minute, buy trigger on the 30. All right, for a short-term trade, I can go and work with that. We could buy a pullback to a 15-minute 21. We could buy a pullback to a 30-minute 8 EMA. My preference, of course, try to find it on a squeeze. But NVIDIA definitely a bit of a standout, and then Tesla and TSM. Tesla's got a 2 hour and a 5 minute sell, and then Taiwan semi. Neutral from a 4 to a 15. Now what if we look at something like maybe the SMH? A little bit better, 4 hour buy trigger, 30-minute buy trigger. I think the key here is going to be indexes first. And, I'll show you a few things I do like on the board. But if we get another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of, all right, here's QQQ in a 1 hour squeeze, and you have no 1 hour buy or sell signal, no 30, no 15, it could be a couple more days of the same. And they dump it a little bit, they pop it, they chop. You can have a good looking NVIDIA, good looking ABCD. They tend to do a lot better with a good market behind them. So yeah, I think that's the issue at the moment here. Key thing to keep in mind: we're not bearish on a 1 hour, a 30, a 15. So take that, and then take the fact you have really good looking daily charts. Uh, I could maybe look for a day trade short. I could maybe look for a scalp short. As far as swing trading, no shorts on my end just yet. All right. Now, all that being said, what about the futures? All right, QQQ futures, and again, not too much immediate ammunition. We have it from a squeeze point of view. 4 hour squeeze setting up, 2 hour hourly, and a 5. But if we're looking up here, it's a neutral 4, neutral 2. A little lonesome buy trigger on the 15. So I love the idea of they chop it and then they take the 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour squeeze, and that maybe gives you another good leg higher. All right, you got the pump, you have the pullback, you have the 4 hour squeeze, another pump, another pullback, another 4 hour squeeze. They've got a good little rhythm going here. Squeeze it, pump it, squeeze it, pump it. Maybe going for round 3. But all right, so QQQ futures mostly neutral. The flavor of the week, the S&P futures, 15-minute buy, and it's about all she wrote for now. You might have a little bit more action here in the Bitcoin futures, which I'm looking to buy here in the room for a swing trade. Yeah, much, much better action. So give me that picture on QQQ, S&Ps. Could be a Microsoft, could be a Meta, could be a Google. Then I think I've got a lot more edge to work with. 1 hour chart geared up for a push, got the 30-minute on board, the 15. That is the good stuff. But all right, so for the Bitcoin futures here, and you could look at iBit, you could look at a MicroStrategy, etc. Really, really clean here on that 2-day squeeze. 15 points of white arrow, and then the kicker, I think, will be getting a buy trigger on the daily squeeze, which at the moment would be a momentum issue. 13 points of the 15. They have the trend, the structure, but it can be a little tough to go and get that bigger breakout into a new high. Until they can get the MACD bars back above the buy zone, or back above the zero line, I should say. But yeah, take a mental snapshot of that 1 hour down to a 5. Trying to find that on the indexes. I'm looking hard. I can't find it so far. All right, all of that out of the way here. A few things we are liking. And like I mentioned, one would be the NVIDIA. So if we check the top 20 from last night, the honorable top 20, who do we got? NVIDIA, FAST, KLAC, Lam Research, SMH, TXN, ADI. There's a little bit of an SMH theme. You've got the Boeing, the Crowd, the FTNT, which we're long. The big tech ETF, Honeywell, BlackRock, CDNS, Palo Alto. Long that one. Snowflake, Emerson, Oracle, and the ARC. All right, NVIDIA first. Yeah, the NQ just can't get out of its own way here. All right, so for the NVIDIA, call wall is 165, which is, 2.5 to 3% above the current price. Just kind of talking out loud here. If you could get a stronger QQQ today, tomorrow, into Friday, you could get that 2 to 2.5% pop in NVIDIA. You may be better off looking at a 165 call for next week. But if we drop down, take a look here at the 1 hour and the 15-minute squeezes. Really clean example of an end of day 15-minute. Little chop, 15-minute squeeze prints, got the white arrow, and then if we check the hourly here, looking like they're going to gap it up closer to 161, the all-time high. So yeah, that might be more of a QQQ thing. If you can get a better market behind it next couple of days, if they do break that 1 hour squeeze long, there might be a path up towards that 160. We'll call it 162-ish, 165-ish. Give ourselves a little wiggle room there. All right, from that one, we can jump over to FTNT. Classic daily squeeze setup. Got the white arrow trigger, got the 15 points at a 15. But again, unlike a lot of things out there, you have really good alignment. Check the 5-minute, that's bullish. Check the 15-minute, the 30, the 1, the 2, the 4. A lot of lower time frame buy triggers here. So we jumped into this one yesterday and bought the 105 call for August 1st expiration. And then if they break it back below the daily 50, call it 103-ish, got to cut it loose, move on to a greener pasture. If they can break the bad boy out, working targets around 111, 112-ish. So I'm liking that one. And then from that, we can jump to Palo Alto. On this one, we have a 202.5 put credit spread for next week. However, if they could go and get another white arrow for the daily squeeze, I'm thinking maybe cash out on the put credit spread and then lean a bit more into, could be an in the money call, could be a not the money call, could be a debit spread. Something a little bit more asymmetric, a little bit more of a bang for your buck idea. Real quick, let's go check the call wall. I want to say 210, but I want to say a lot of things. Palo Alto, yeah, 210. That could be a great short-term target if they can fire that daily squeeze. So yeah, we got Palo Alto, we have FTNT, and then the other open trade here is MicroStrategy, which is one way to try to play for that Bitcoin futures idea. And for the MicroStrat, white arrow on the 2-day squeeze, and then it's pretty much the same exact setup as the Bitcoin futures. White arrow on the 2-day squeeze, not getting it quite yet on the daily squeeze. But if they can get it, I think it'll make for a really good short-term entry. And for MicroStrat, we have a 395 put credit spread for next week, which means if they gap the thing up 90%, we're not going to 10x our cash. But at the same time, if they can at least keep it above that 390-ish, should be in good shape. And that could be another one where if we can cash out and get the profit on the put spread, maybe take that profit, open up something a little bit more directional. But all right, y'all, I am liking MicroStrategy, Palo Alto, FTNT, and NVIDIA. And then mentioning NVIDIA here, let's go look at the SMH real quick. Give the idea room to pull back. In other words, I'm not saying jump in and buy the calls here today, but from a much bigger picture point of view for the SMH here on the monthly chart, again, not a 5 minute or a 30-minute squeeze, a monthly squeeze. Big, but not the quickest. Looking like there might be a path here into 300, 315-ish. Compression from the monthly squeeze, got the white arrow, all the structure, momentum, the trend. If they can really take out the high here and break it long, um, like any other squeeze across any other time frame, you try to call for a push towards that 2.5 to 3 extension. 310, 315-ish. So one point of view on that is, all right, awesome. I can, again, maybe on a dip, but I can jump in and buy maybe a further dated call. Could buy a call, could buy shares. Try to sit back, let that monthly squeeze work. Try to play for a bigger picture path into that 310-ish, 315. The other thinking can be, all right, well, if they do break it out, and there is a bigger picture path from 280 into 315, I can have a lot of luck on my 15-minute squeezes, the 30-minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the daily charts. If they go in, break out, and fire a bigger monthly squeeze, it's a lot of short-term win at your back for your lower time frames. Think you're back here for that 1, 2, 3, that 4 month period where the SMH had a monthly squeeze, broke out, and rallied to the tune of 50%. Imagine catching a 50% rally in 2, 3, 4 months, and you're picking off every hourly squeeze, every 30-minute, every daily. Can be a great time. Along the same lines would be the Google. The Google on the monthly. So yeah, a few things I'm liking there, and then there were a few more off the scans. I think crowd might have been one of them. No, crowd does look good, but it fired the squeeze. It might have been FAST. Yeah, it was that one. Which I probably don't buy for a swing trade before earnings. Earnings on the 14th. But all right, y'all, that is what I got for you on a fine Wednesday morning. And again, the key thing for me today, tomorrow, into next week, S&Ps, QQQ, the Microsofts, the Apples, etc. Can anything show up as far as a buy trigger on a 5, then a 15, then the 30? If they can do that, then I think, yeah, they should keep the party going into higher prices. But all right, any questions for me? Any chart question? Anything y'all want to take a look at? Drop it in the chats, and I'll get caught up here with you. Let me just check a couple quick things here on my end. All right, so what's this NQ doing? Besides chopping itself silly. Hourly, huh? They've got the squeeze action if they want to go and use it. Figuring that out, of course, is the tough part. All right, let me get caught up here and see what you folks have got for me. You've all had some really good picks as of late, so no pressure. Hey, what's up, Peter? Peter, I'm heading up your way Friday, which I'm very much looking forward to. All right, DOW. Not the Dow Jones, but the Dow. All right, 3-day squeeze and a 2-day squeeze setting up. In terms of the daily time frame, I don't love it with a -4. But I also wouldn't be in a big rush to go in short a -4. We want to short something. Ideally, it looks maybe a lot more like back here. Like squeeze, -15, broken structure, broken spirits. So daily chart's a little bit more neutral. And then the 3-day squeeze here leans a bit more bearish, and your 2-day squeeze, again, not locked and loaded for jumping and short me right now kind of moment in time. But with a -8, that leans a little bearish, and then the lower time frame is much better action. Buy trigger on the hourly, buy trigger on the 30, and buy trigger on the 15. And I do think the best case is you have a name like Nvidia, for example, and we can look at the monthly time frame all the way down to a 1-minute time frame. There's a lot of bullish properties. The goal might be, hey, I want to go buy it on a little 15-minute squeeze, but I think it helps if from top to bottom the thing's just really bullish. But that being said, we'll also find a moment in time like a Dow here, where all right, you might not have the beautiful monthly chart, the weekly chart. The bulls can find their spots across lower time frames. And right now, that's your 1 hour, your 30, and your 15. So my thinking in that situation is I've got 3 time frames right now, pretty much giving me the thumbs up. Excuse me, the thumbs up to go and work my bullish playbook. Bullish playbook could be I'm buying a pullback to an 8-period EMA, a 21 EMA. I'm buying a squeeze, could be a breakout pattern. But right now, I'm limited to that 1 hour, 30, 15. Right? They've got the structure, they've got the trend. They point towards, hey, until things change, path of least resistance should be to the upside. Then the day will come, and maybe it's after earnings in a few weeks here, but then the day will come, you take that bigger picture look at it, and hey, it's bullish on the weekly, bullish on the 3-day time frame, bullish everywhere you look. All right, guys, little 5-minute action here on the NQ. The old white arrow special. See what they can do. Come on up, big boy. Water's warm. All right, we got about 10 minutes here on the shot clock. Okay, Peter, perfect. I think you're looking at the right spot there. Good morning, Dr. Bob. BTE. Baytex. I would give you a similar point of view on this one. Daily chart has 3 out of 15 points. To me, not great for a huge short, not great for a huge long. But if we drop to a 1 hour and a 30-minute time frame, all right, now you got the bulls in full control. 13 points out of 15, way better trend, way better structure. And then they're humming the same tune here on your 30. So I don't want to go look for an entry on the weekly chart. I don't want to go look for an entry on the 2-hour chart. I want to go where the pretty colors are. Right now, that's my 1 hour and my 30. All right, then I open up my bullish toolbox. And again, it could be a breakout pattern, could be a dip buy strategy. For me, 10 times out of 10, it'll be a squeeze. 30-minute buy trigger, I'm looking for a 30-minute squeeze. 15-minute buy trigger, I'm looking for a 15-minute squeeze. But they're showing you, at least on that one given time frame, they've got a few things trying to work in their favor as far as alignment. Where at least for me, I can't quite take that daily chart and with conviction call for a 2, 3, 4-week path higher. If I can catch a good entry there on that 30-minute, I can call for that shorter term 1, 2, 3, 4-hour path higher. Hope that makes sense. All right, my friend CZ, SOUN. Yeah, talk about a gap and a go, huh? Yeah, that is quite beastly. gapping it back into 1340-ish. The only real advice I can give you on a name like this, I think it all comes down to sizing. And the allure, so to say, is, hey, this thing's going up 10, 15, 20% every day. Right, so you jump in at $12, you buy the 13 and a half call. That's the allure of it. This thing's going crazy. The other side of it is you could buy that shorter dated call. It could pull back about 6 or 7%, change nothing at all, right? A little kickback to an hourly 21, and that shorter dated call might be crushed. So I think it's just a sizing thing and then trying to find a good entry. Frankly, for me, not the kind of thing I tend to trade too much. Nothing to do with the name, more so the location. So for me, kind of by default, if I'm taking a shot up here at the extension, it has to be a smaller trade. Maybe ideally a day trade, but even for a swing, I got to cut that size at least in half. Right? I don't want to be the guy taking, big bet the ranch position size. The thing then pulls back 18% of the buy zone. I'm homeless, and it's just a viable pullback to support. But if I wait for a good entry on a 15-minute time frame, I size it appropriately. All right, they could gap it down 90%. I'm not going to be out of business. And then better yet, to keep it going, 14, 15, $50, $100. Keep on raking into cash. All right, guys, I'm going to keep on rifling through here. All right, Boeing and ON. Yeah, Boeing's pretty sharp here. So here's a name showing good alignment. Buy trigger on a weekly down to a 15. Yeah, I think you look for an entry somewhere above your 8 EMA or above your 21 EMA. I also love the fact of getting that fresh momentum turn. Goes through a bear cycle and now kicking off that fresh bull cycle. Yeah, Boeing's in pretty good shape here. And then Ram looking at ON. In terms of a good risk reward spot, you could mark up 55-ish. Look for a spot to buy it above 55 and then stop out below 55. Anchoring to your 8 EMA and your 200 SMA. All right, the great over under, and then I think a great spot to buy it would be something like this 15-minute squeeze. They pump, they chop, they squeeze, they crank out the white arrow. That can give you good continuation. All right, and then we got SBET and IONQ. Again, a little bit out of my typical wheelhouse, but same advice as the other one, SOUN. Position size appropriately. When they gap it up and pump it 20%, you love it. They can also gap it down and rip it back 20%. And it could all be in the context of very normal action for that name. Where NVIDIA, for example, NVIDIA is down 2%. It's kind of an ugly day. All relative, of course. And then IONQ. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. Daily squeeze, white arrow. If you could buy it around 45. There's about 12% risk down to 40-ish and about 15-ish percent upside towards the upside target. Which means what? It's a good entry right here. It's such a better entry down to even 43. Now I'm taking on only about 6% risk in exchange for about 20% upside. I've got a couple different tools here in the works as far as uh, really trying to help us hone in on that one moment in time. Squeeze white arrow, but right near that sweet spot. But no, yeah, gorgeous. She's gorgeous. Fresh white arrow on the brand new 2-day squeeze. And then pretty sharp here on the hourly. Yeah, nothing bad I can say about that one. And then Bob's got some PTC. So Bob, I would mark up $1.75. Make that your short-term over/under. Keep it above that. You buy it on any given time frame. You look for a buy trigger. Back below that, you're back in that box. Things could again get very choppy back in that box. All right, guys, couple more here. Then I got to jump to the next room. Hey, what's up, Hamza? Good morning. Thoughts on Netflix? It feels like Netflix and chill. Rally away from our 21 EMA, pull back to it. Spend a good 5 or 10 days chopping. Brand new daily squeeze. Another big leg higher. Pull back to your 21. A little bit of chop. No buy signals. If they can hold it here, I'd love a repeat of that previous move. Reversion to the mean, the hold, the squeeze, then the continuation higher. But could take a couple of days to see if we're going to get there. If anything, if they can at least keep it above that 1260, should be in good shape. Below that, there might be room for a bit more of a slip down towards that daily 50. Hey, what's up, Jace? Thoughts on PLNT and TKO? All right, so for PLNT, they have to, one, get the white arrow again. Got a little bit of that negative cross that canceled the white arrow. They got to get that again. Then they have to get some 15-minute buy triggers, the 30, the 15. If they can't, these can get a little sloppy because you're having a negative daily shift. MACD bars back below 0. And then you're neutral on your 4, your 2, your 1, bearish on your 30. It's a lot of glorified chop, but it can be signs of exhaustion. Exhaustion doesn't mean, hey, we're going to break down and fire a short here. But exhaustion could mean you're down to your 50, you're popping, you're back up to 108, you're back down. So yeah, I would keep an eye on the buy triggers on that one. All right, and then I got one more minute here, guys. ABT. Same scoop here for ABT, very choppy. And it'll likely continue to be very choppy if you can't get a daily buy trigger, a 30, a 15. Right now, the indicator's neutral from a daily down to a 5. All right, and then perfect pivot, hello, the utilities. You have a lot of squeezes, a weekly, a 3-day, a 2-day, a daily, a 4-hour, and a 2-hour. But what I think might be holding it back here in the short term is momentum on your daily squeeze. You had the negative cross back here early June. And then they pop, they fail, they pop, they fail, they pop, they fail, they pop, they fail. Trend is pretty good. The structure is really good. Tough to get that bigger breakout, that bigger leg higher until you can get momentum back on board. So I would keep an eye out for that. But all right, guys, as always, much appreciate the time. Hope you all found it helpful. And again, I'm looking for QQQ, S&P, etc. 5-minute buy triggers, 15-minute, 30-minute. Just a little something to sink my teeth into. Otherwise, we are long MicroStrategy, long FT&T, and long the Palo Alto. So thank y'all again. Quick heads up, I am on vacation next week, so I won't be on the mic here for the pre-market sessions. But I'll be back with you the following week, and fingers crossed, should have some good news here on some upcoming projects for you. But thank y'all again, folks in my room, folks in the MTT room.